All right, guys. So iPhone 14 Pro unboxing, first impressions. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Now, listen, I'm not going to go through every single thing. You've probably already seen this 1,000 times. eSIM iPhone 14 Pro, USB-C to Lightning cable in the box. I even took the stickers off. I haven't actually opened up the phone yet, just those stickers I peeled off the box so we could speed through this thing. But you can see first impressions of the iPhone 14 Pro in the deep purple colorway is it's pretty nice. Now I do have lights reflecting on the phone here, so you're gonna see a little bit more of that purple here on video. In person though, it's a little bit darker, especially not under the bright lights, so it might even appear a little bit of a grayish tinge, but overall I think it is beautiful overall. They really done this well and it stands out. So if you really want everybody to know this is the 14 Pro, this is the color you're gonna want for sure. But go ahead and peel that off on the front. Vibes I'm getting right away just from the start is this an iPhone 13 Pro? Sans a dynamic island. It definitely feels like the same phone as last year. Let's go over here and you'll see we do have a USB-C to Lightning cable here. So that is included within the box. Pretty nice. And there's your your dynamic island. And then you'll see right here, you no longer need a physical SIM card. Activate with eSIM. I already went in the T-Mobile store and they were having trouble. Man, is that going to be a headache for some people? But listen, it's not too hard once you get the gist of it. It's just a newer technology. You're going to have to adjust, just like when Apple took away the headphone jack. Everybody was complaining and then eventually they adjusted. And some people say, well, yeah, basically that's what happens. Apple does what they want and people eventually just get used to it and move on because they love Apple. And that's true. I just bumped the mic like a bozo. Let's go ahead and take a look over here now that we're in. Let me just sign in. If I see anything new about Dynamic Island in the setup process, I'll show you that real quick. Okay, so when setting up Face ID, it does look a little bit different now that they have manipulated the pixels around the camera and the Face ID sensors to go ahead and create the Dynamic Island. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. You can see it pops in a little bit different. So we'll go ahead and position in the frame really quickly. Let me set this up. It's going to be a little bit off angle because the camera gets in the way of Face ID. I don't want to use a mask right now. You can see Face ID definitely has a different look. It makes this phone feel a little bit more different than I would say than the older iPhone 13 Pro, but other than that, it looks like it's a pretty similar setup. All right, guys, so we're now in the iPhone 14 Pro. You can see the all new Dynamic Island. Now, I want to talk about something that most people don't actually see before we even get going. If you just put a simple flashlight on the Dynamic Island, you're going to see that it's simply a camera and a Face ID sensor right there. Also, you see that 2000 nits. This does get up to 2000 nits of brightness tweaking on. Look how bright that display is. It's absolutely ridiculous. But Apple's basically using the OLED pixels on here to create the all-new Dynamic Island feature. A pretty cool new touch. So let's take a look at that. So if we go ahead and put on something like a timer, you'll see that it will appear up here and stretch out into a little island. Go ahead and hold that down and you'll be able to interact with this thing in multiple different ways. You'll also see it when you go ahead and place this on a charger. So give me just a second and I'll pull the charger up on here. I'm gonna pull this charger on. Let's say you got the screen locked. Boom, you'll see it will show on there as well. Not only that, it's also gonna work in other areas. When you got the camera on, you'll see the green light right there. Shooting video, it'll show you what it's doing up there with Face ID. It also get larger. I mean, it does quite a few things when you're playing music, podcasts, stuff like that. There's going to be a lot it's going to show up there. So Apple's found a way to use this area to make it into a feature. It's pretty cool. Let's take a look now at the wallpapers for this Apple iPhone 14. A little annoyed on my iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. They actually removed the stock wallpapers, but on here you're going to see the deep purple specific to the iPhone 14 Pro wallpaper, the gold if you buy the gold model, the silver, and the space black. Now all these colors will come stock out of the box if you buy that specific color, and they do have depth effects. Wanted to show that. Also, something new with this iPhone 14 Pro is the always on display. So if we go back here, simply go to display, and Apple didn't make this hard to find. Just go to display. It's right there, always on. It does come on by default though. So when you turn on this iPhone, you're going to see you do have an always on display. This is all new to iPhone Pro series models that allows you to go ahead and see an always on display. I wish they would have brought this to all the 14s though, honestly. If we go ahead and unlock that quickly, let's take a look at this next to an iPhone 13 Pro. I'm getting pretty similar vibes here, essentially similar phones. The cameras do look a little bit bigger for the iPhone 14 Pro, but it's not an incredible difference. Overall, slightly heavier. Charging ports, the way they're designed at the bottom, fingerprints still show on the edges. Overall, a very similar look and feel besides Dynamic Island and the notch. Take a look at that. Take a look at that. Everyone knows that's the latest. Everyone knows that's last year. Everyone knows that's you get the gist. They did that pretty cool. Anyway, let's take a look at what else is new. Well, there's not much else new. You can see the software is the same ProMotion display. It's all about the Dynamic Island. We also have the Apple A16 on here, which is supposed to be a little bit faster than the A15. But when you actually look at the spec sheet, it's still a similar efficiency cores and similar GPU. So I don't expect this to be a major change day to day for most people. What's really going to shine though on this phone is, having that CPU efficiency, is the battery life, the Dynamic Island feature, the cameras, and maybe if you like some of these new colors. So my first impression so far, it's a slightly better iPhone 13 Pro. That's what I'm getting from this phone. Not a total major overhaul, but definitely enough to make it feel like the new phone. Go ahead and see if we click this picture. This is the new 48 megapixel camera. Now, Apple's saying these pictures are supposed to be 3 times better. I don't believe it. I'm gonna have to see it in real life, but right now, just in the studio and bright lights, it's gonna be really tough to see that. But you can see you have this 3x zoom on here. You can go all the way up to 15 like you could before. And there's like 4 different lens options right here. So let me scroll back out of there. We'll go back. You'll see 2x, 3x, 0.5. So even though this is a triple camera, they are giving you 4 different ways to go ahead and take a shot. So pretty cool. Now also, video is going to be able to go up to 4K 60 once again. I'm expecting this to be some of the best video you're going to find out there. And I'm probably going to shoot a lot of videos on this channel with this phone. Also, like the 14, the front-facing camera does cinematic video as well in 4K 30, up to 4K 30. You can also do 4K 24 on board for that actual cinematic like experience. So having that cinematic in 4K 24 as well as 4K 24 on the video, I mean, this is just awesome. Also, you do have the action mode. I mean, the cameras on here are beyond what the average consumer needs. If you guys are really into photography, you want to really get good at photos, you want to create social media, your own website, photography for your career, videography, this is an awesome tool to have. Like literally the camera I'm shooting on is pretty amazing. I love it. It's a Sony camera, but at the same time, having this in your pocket and the ability to just upload wherever, absolutely love this. So pretty cool thing that the iPhone 14 Pro is giving you is probably, again, the best cameras on a smartphone. I only say that now. I have to go ahead and test them against some Samsung phones, some Pixel devices. But man, it's looking like these are going to be some of the best once again. So the iPhone 14 Pro also carries the Apple A16 Bionic chip coupled with a 120 hertz, well, it's adaptive refresh, but ProMotion display. So the actual display is buttery smooth. It feels incredible. I just think this is going to be, again, really beating a lot of phones in performance. 6 gigabytes of RAM actually matches the iPhone 14 though. I wish they would have went with 8 gigs since we're paying several $100s more for this phone. But with Dynamic Island, the premium feel definitely feels a couple steps above actually of the iPhone 14. So keep in mind you're getting rock solid performance once again. Also, the battery life on this iPhone 14 Pro should be improved. You can also put battery percentage right up there inside of the battery now in iOS 16. You could do this on other phones as well. But this should be giving you some really good battery life just due to the optimizations of A16, along with this being a physically larger cell within the body of this phone. So overall, I'm looking forward to a pretty good battery life phone. As a matter of fact, the iPhone 13 Pro never really let me down. This phone was amazing getting through a whole day, even though it was a smaller size. So I want to wrap it up here. There's not a ton to talk about. Better cameras, Dynamic Island, and we do have, a little bit brighter display, which is not really visible right now. It'll be visible outdoors. Charging is similar. Phone feels like another Pro device. It's not really changing up the game too much, but is adding a pretty nice feature in Dynamic Island. Let's go ahead and take a look at this phone next to the older Pros. A lot of you are going to be upgrading from the Apple iPhone 11 Pro right here. I don't have this one turned on. Maybe it died while I was shooting this video, but yeah, some people are going to be upgrading from this. And let's take a look at what you're getting. Much bigger cameras. I will do full comparisons, but this is just a quick preliminary look. Squared edges. So you're going from that rounded body to the squared edges here on the 14 Pro. Also, Dynamic Island is available. Overall, I think this is a solid upgrade. If you loved your 11 Pro and you're looking for a little bit more out of your iPhone, this one definitely feels a step above. Now, the iPhone 12 Pro is a beautiful phone as well. The notch is quite wide on this phone because they didn't actually change the notches, deepness like they did on the iPhone 13 Pro. So you are going to definitely notice it here for the iPhone 12 Pro. You see how much bigger that notch is. That is a stark difference on the iPhone 14 Pro. Definitely very different. But other than that, the phones themselves, cameras feel much larger on the iPhone 14 Pro, but they're also thicker. The phone feels heavier, and the 12 Pro is still a premium build. It doesn't really feel that much more premium on the iPhone 14 Pro, but it's definitely, I would say, a solid upgrade if your battery is falling apart or you just want to get rid of this, get something new. But the 12 Pro is still very beautiful. The iPhone 13 Pro, though, this is the toughest one right here. It's all about the Dynamic Island between these two because build-wise, they're about the same. The way they feel about the same. Screens are, the screen's brighter on the 14 Pro, but the screens are already ridiculous bright on the 13 Pro. So honestly, here between these two, it's going to come down to, do you want that Dynamic Island? That is the deal here if you have the 13 Pro. Again, I'll do comparisons on all of these, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty impressed with the iPhone 14 Pro. I feel like it's Apple just carrying on with really amazing devices, but they're not really trying anything groundbreakingly different. They're just improving and improving and improving and making their phones just a bit better every year, a bit better every year. And if you're happy with that, if you're happy picking up another new iPhone that just satisfies you with another new iOS update and another new feature like Dynamic Island, I think you'll love the iPhone 14 Pro. Not a bad pickup here. Stay tuned. I got my iPhone 14 Pro Max coming on Monday. My delivery got delayed. Super annoying. But at least we got to check out the Dynamic Island and the 14 Pro. Whatever you guys want to see going forward on 14, 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, let me know down below. I'm going to be doing comparisons all this fall going into the holiday season to help you decide which is going to be the better iPhone for you. Should you upgrade? We're gonna cover the whole nine here on the channel. Be subscribed. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.